all set? Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We are the Owatonna School Board. This is Monday. It's May 23rd, 5:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Eric, our attendants?
Perfect attendance, all present.
Good. Would you all please rise? Join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up tonight would be to approve the agenda as presented.
So
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 4 tonight would be the mission moment. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Elstad.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, tonight it is my honor to lift up as our mission moment our departing student school board representative, Daniela Ortiz. A few things about Daniela. This is going to be a list that I'll read, and then I have a lot of other things I'd like to say about Daniela. Daniela's involvement in activities at Owatonna High School includes she is the president of the National Honor Society, student council representative, students helping others choose or shock officer, link crew commissioner. She's a big sister mentor. She's part of our OHS Diversity and Inclusion Club. She's a member of the volleyball team. She participates in DECA. She's a member of the orchestra. She was a leader with Toys for Tots. She's been part of the Alzheimer's Awareness Walk planning. Also is a donator as well as a volunteer at the local food shelf, and has been part of the Owatonna Community Task Force on Facilities. That's just the bulleted list of things that we did a little review for you, Daniela. Not only that, but Daniela has, I think, truly personified our 4 commitments as a school district. 21st century learning. Daniela was part of a community task force that helped us design a new building to help meet the needs of our students moving through the 21st and even 22nd century. Safe and caring community. All of the volunteerism and how much she cares for the various groups that she serves within our community. To say the least, the things that I read off, like the Alzheimer's Awareness Walk, local food shelf, Toys for Tots, and many others. High quality teaching and learning. Daniela has been the recipient of very high quality relationships of teaching and learning with our staff here at OHS, but she will certainly pass that along. I know she's not maybe picking on education right now, but I'm still going to needle her to see if education might be a career for her. And then lastly, when I think about the work that we're doing within equity, Daniela has been a warrior for equity, making sure that we continue to provide for the needs of all of our students, regardless of ability, race, beliefs, ethnicity. And I truly, truly believe that Daniela Ortiz is going to go on to do great things. And at some point, Daniela, I want to pick up the paper and I'm going to read an article about you and say, I got to serve with her at one point. So congratulations, Daniela.
Thank you.
And I'd like to turn it now over to Chair Sebring.
Mr. Elstad, thank you very much. You know, this is a good opportunity, board members, to share a couple thoughts or perspectives. I'm happy to just open it up, and whoever would have something to say.
I'll start. Daniela, you have been a gift to this board.
Thank you.
And to this district and this community.
Thank you.
You are going to do marvelous things. I wish you all the best. Have some fun. Make some mistakes. Screw up a little bit, because that's kind of fun too. But make sure you come back and tell us all the wonderful things you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'd like to take something from Dr. Seuss. Oh, the places you'll go and the things you'll see and do. I wish you the very best.
Thank you. Thank you, Deb.
Yeah, I would just add, Danielle, you and I have had some opportunities to, visit about some fairly serious topics. And I'm just so grateful for your openness and your perspective and your willingness to educate those of us on the board about student perspectives and things going on and more personal to you. So wish you all the best. I know we'll be hearing more about her, so look forward to that.
Thank you.
Down here, Tim.
I've never doubted once that you were connected more than just about anybody at the high school. You could tell us throughout your tenure about exactly what's going on. And it's just so nice to have a representative like you to kind of keep us with that student focus
Thank you.
and go Gophers.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
I think that you've really set the bar high for the future representatives. And they will do a great job following up. Thank you for coming on board.
Thank you.
And it was great to see your parents tonight after the first time ever seeing you was a little baby getting carried in the house. So you've gone great ways and you're gonna go long distance.
Thank you.
Yeah, Daniela, my thoughts, that you've always been a patient and very methodical listener. Every time you're asked, your response is always measured. It's very wise beyond your years. You demonstrate a seasoned maturity and a graceful acknowledgement of even divisive issues with a very calming reassurance. Our school district has benefited from your perspective. And with that, we have two more very special guests that are joining us tonight, Mr. Kirk Schneiderwind and Greg Abbott. And as they make their way up, I'll allow them to do their own introductions. They are from the Minnesota School Board Association.
Mr. Chair and Owatonna board members, thank you for having me here tonight. And I am the Executive Director for the Minnesota School Boards Association. We represent all of our public school boards in the state of Minnesota. And I am here tonight, as you can imagine, to name Owatonna student Daniela Ortiz as a recipient of the Minnesota School Boards Association Robert E. Meeks Student School Board Member Scholarship. To stay on theme here tonight, the $3,000 scholarship is one of only two in the state and is given away as a reward and encouragement for students to become involved in governance at their local school level and learn about the importance of having locally elected school boards. School boards are there to help students. We've heard that. That is why board members run for office and why they put all the time and effort into being on the board. There's no better way to get input from a board member, from the board, than from a student board member. We show that 102 of our 332 public school districts in Minnesota have a student school board member at the table. And Owatonna should feel very proud to have Daniela working with them. I'm going to turn it over to Nikki, who serves on the MSBA Board of Directors and represents Director of District 1. Nikki.
Again, I am very pleased to be one of the representatives on the Minnesota State School Board Association. And we selected two winners, as Kirk mentioned, from nearly 40 applicants. And let me tell you, it was a tough decision. Reading all of those applications was impressive, and Daniela stood out. I tried to read them non-committally and without judgment, and as did the other board members, and you rose to the top of the list. So the judges cited you for not only your personal high academic achievements, but also for your involvement in school and community activities, from sports to orchestra and Google coding program. The committee also liked your insight and contributions as the board worked through equity plans and long open forums about critical race theory, and was able to give insight from a class that you took through Mankato State University. Your insight and work with the mixed roots and diversity group shows a commitment to helping all students. It's no wonder that your recommendation letters referred to you as strengthening our belief in equity. Daniela is a wonderful example of what a student board member can do, and I'm pleased to help present the award to you tonight.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Lori, can you get a picture of that too?
Take it to the bank.
Kirk, Greg, thank you very much. Appreciate you making the trek over. Well. Anything you'd like to follow up with? Anything you'd like to say?
No. No, just to thank you to you all. It has been an honor to work with each and every one of you. I've learned so much from my time on the school board, and it's something that I will always be grateful for. Thank you all. And thank you to my community. Growing up in Owatonna has been a blessing in disguise. Even though it's been a small town, it's been a town filled with such amazing people and an amazing amount of support. So I just wanted to thank each and every one of you guys as well. Thank you.
As we move on, item 5 tonight is public forum. I'll check with Sarah. Are there any cards? Any cards for public forum tonight? Okay. We will move on. Item 6 tonight would just be for general information. In your packet, you had a copy of the enrollment report, and this is a good opportunity if you have any questions for Mr. Elstad with regard to the information on that report. Any questions? Hearing none, we will continue to move on here. Item 7 tonight, nothing required by the board in terms of action. The first would be board forum. Jolene, do you mind if I start with you? Anything for board forum tonight?
Just wrapping up year-end activities with kids in schools, and it's good stuff. It's fun stuff.
Nothing?
Nothing tonight.
I have a couple things in particular. One, our June board meeting that would normally be on June 27th is going to move to June 20th. So we came to understand that there would be some absences on the 27th. We've moved it to the 20th. So if you could just take a peek at your calendars and just make sure that you can make that change. If there's going to be any issue, just let us know with that. And board members also, you'll get an email from me, or it'll probably actually come from Sarah. We're at that point where we would do a review of Mr. Elstad as we're coming up on a year end. Superintendents go July 1 through June 30. So you'll see, probably from Sarah, an email with regard to the review packet that you'll find there. Eric, do you have anything for board forum?
Nothing tonight.
Looking forward to graduation at the ALC and commencement at the OHS in a week or so.
Good.
We just had a state school board meeting, and I must say that was the hardest secret I've ever had to keep, sitting right next to you. So there was many times I'm like going, nope, can't say it yet. So, again, congratulations again.
Thank you.
That's all I've got.
Anything?
I'm definitely looking forward to the ceremony, but the last day of school for the seniors is in just 1 week. And on our last day of school, we get to go visit our past elementary schools to kind of just say our final goodbyes. So I definitely think I'll tear up there a little bit. So, but I'm excited for graduation in 11 days. But overall, I would just like to say how I believe successful this past year has been for the OHS, especially considering everything that we've had to go throughout this entire year with all of the COVID mandates and all of those different rules. I think at the end of the day, at the end of the year, it's been pretty successful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next up, under discussion items would be the policy revisions. This is just the first reading. They were included in your board packet, and this is a good opportunity. If you have any questions for members of the policy committee with regard to the changes that you saw in the policy revisions, any questions?
I just had some comments about the bullying policies, and I did notice that they're going to be reviewing those policies with students on a yearly basis. And particularly lifting up the idea that the person who engages in an act of bullying is going to be held responsible, but so are the people who are standing by and allowing it to happen. If you see somebody being picked on and harassed, pushed around, step forward, step up and help them. That's it.
Okay. Any other comments with regard to these policies? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to move on. Turn things over to Mr. Elstad for the administrative report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I wish my legislative report were longer this evening. Last night, the legislature of 2022 adjourned. I believe they did reach agreement on a tax bill, but there was no spending bill agreement yesterday. At last report, just before I stepped into the building tonight, I know Governor Walz held a press conference with Representative Portman as well as Senator Miller to discuss the potential of a special session, but nothing's been decided yet. Couple of implications that are hanging in the balance for us as far as the target or the $4 billion framework that was set in spending. There's a significant impact to Owatonna in the result of special education cross-subsidy to a point where that would really benefit our taxpayers, give us additional revenue every year. That's a big one. And then we're also waiting to hear about a bonding bill that provides a significant career pathway opportunity for our students. All of those are simply waiting. They've made it through both. That bonding bill made it through both the House and the Senate, and was just waiting for the final approval on the bonding bill before heading to Governor Walz's desk for signature. So again, there are a lot of things in the balance here, a lot of impacts to our school district and our taxpayers. And I'm hopeful that we can get some of that done in a special session so that we can continue to provide the great opportunities that we do for our students. So, moving on, as was mentioned, graduation. We're coming up in the last few days of school here. Our ALC graduation is next Wednesday, June 1st at 1 p.m. at the Owatonna Foundation building at the fairgrounds. The Cannon Valley Special Education Cooperative graduation will also be next Wednesday, June 1st at 11 a.m. over in Faribault. And we do have a couple of graduates coming through that program this year as well. And then, of course, we'll host commencement here on Friday night, June 3rd at 7 p.m. On the field, which was the request of our students that we return to an outdoor graduation ceremony. We're crossing our fingers for good weather. And if we don't, the rain date will be Sunday afternoon, as we've typically had it. But a lot of students and families like the idea of being outside again. The Friday night option offers an opportunity to have a whole weekend when extended family might be in town to be part of graduation parties and the ceremony itself. So, and then of course the last thing in a couple nights, we're hosting our high school scholarship awards here at the high school, where I think there'll be well over $200,000 in scholarships given out that night. So it's a great night for our seniors and our students that are moving on to their next step of their journey. So that's all I have this evening. And I'd like to move on to the next item if I could. A little over a week and a half ago, I had the opportunity to attend the Owatonna Education Association year-end banquet. As we were progressing through the evening and honoring retirees, we got to the part where there was Teacher of the Year candidates that were to be introduced. And unfortunately, a storm came in, inclement weather came in that sent everybody sort of scattering for their car. I am eternally grateful for the great staff we get to work with here in Owatonna. And I would like to make sure that tonight we take an opportunity to lift up our Teacher of the Year candidates in this way in front of our school board and community. So at this point, I would like to ask Matt McCartney and Mark Langloy to come to the front to please introduce our Teacher of the Year candidates. Thank you for being here tonight, Mr. McCartney and Mr. Langloy.
Here.
You can go right there, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, board, for inviting us. Superintendent Elstead, Chair, the rest of you, it's quite an honor to be part of this banquet, and to experience it is a lot of fun. And so, like Superintendent Elstead said, cut short dramatically. And so the tradition is with our Teacher of the Year, the prior Teacher of the Year does that announcement. So I asked Mark if he would join us as well, since he was our Teacher of the Year last year. And so I'd like to ask Mark to come on up here and join, take my spot actually, and introduce this amazing crew that we have before you here.
Thank you for allowing me to be here today. I've got just a couple thank yous. First of all, I want to thank the OEA for finding ways to support and recognize so many educators in our schools. We all appreciate just honoring years of service, retirees, and the annual Owatonna Teacher of the Year. Next, I just want to thank you, the board. We appreciate your time commitment, your continuous support through all of our challenges and successes over the last couple of years and the years to come. The last year has been really a humbling experience for myself. It's been full of support, encouragement, and reflection, which I'm deeply thankful for. One of the true gifts of the year is I've had the unique opportunity to represent the teachers of Owatonna and share with others what amazing things are happening in our schools. Tonight is another one of those nights as I get an opportunity to share a glimpse about these amazing 2022 Owatonna Teacher of the Year finalists. As I connected with colleagues and watched videos they have created, it is my pleasure to talk about each gifted educator tonight. We'll begin with Heather Bay. She is a LEAP and EL teacher at OMS. She's described as being very kind and thoughtful, knows what kids and coworkers need before they even ask. She has a strong yet calm voice of equity. She's the mastermind behind the We Are OMS event, which has happened a couple of years now. As equity has been an emphasis in our district over the last number of years, she has always been that voice, which we are thankful for. She asks difficult questions to get the most out of the students. The students are very much loved and they get whatever they need. So if we could give a round of applause to Heather Bay. Next, I have the honor of introducing Lauren Gendron. She is a language arts teacher.
Excuse me, Mr. Langley.
Yes.
Might we have Lauren stand for us,
Yes,
please,
we
when
could.
you're reading
That would
that?
be great. Lauren, you want
Thank
to
you.
start?
Thank you.
Yes,
absolutely, the whole time.
Sure. Lauren is a language arts teacher and avid teacher at OHS. She was, in her videos, was recognized as a great colleague multiple times. Her students always feel loved. She's a positive and caring teacher, and she's described as a relationship builder. She has a great listening ear. She's the teacher that students she currently has or those that she has had in the past come to visit her just to connect with her. She's a jack of all trades. She's a part of the AVID speech team and teaches enriched classes. Her students always feel loved for who they truly are in her classroom. If we could give her another round of applause. Next, if we could have Emily Lechner stand, please. Emily is a life science and forensics teacher at OMS. She's described as genuine and student-centered. She's committed to get to know all of her students. She's an extremely hard worker. She often displays student learning, which is great to see what is happening in her classroom. She not only has a passion for science, but more importantly is an advocate for all of her students. She's kind, spunky, fun, and is the definition of a team player. She desires to develop students as leaders, as she is one of the leaders of our web group at OMS. If you could give her another round of applause. Next, if we could have Abby Olson please stand. Abby Olson teaches 6th grade. She teaches language arts and social studies at OMS. When described, it's 3 words and they're all the same, and that's relationships, relationships, relationships. She knows all of her students academically and personally. She attends activities or does Google Meets with students just to learn about their interests. She's constantly checking in with students and colleagues. She's got a knack for knowing when people need to be heard. She jumps in right away to get the task done, but often questions things when we're doing things that maybe aren't best for students. She is very creative and out-of-the-box thinker, which makes her lessons very engaging. If we give her another round of applause. Next, Christy Roman. Christy is an English teacher and AP College in the Schools teacher at OHS. She is defined or described as the ultimate professional. She's a hard worker that always goes above and beyond. She's committed to give students a first-class educational experience. She's all about loving and supporting people. She challenges students that need to be challenged and knows how to intervene when that is needed. As described by a colleague, she is the teacher we all want to be, the truest friend and a gifted teacher. She sets the bar high to make us all better. If we could give her another round of applause. And I've saved our 2022 Teacher of the Year is Andrew Malo. Andrew is a Spanish and world languages teacher at OMS. Creative is an understatement when it comes to what he does in his classroom. Students say it is fun, and we learn too. And I know that from personal experience with my own children. Connections with kids are off the charts with Andrew. He has a passion for life and positive energy that he brings every day. He's flexible and always is helping colleagues and students in whatever they need. Kids come first, and he brings a sense of student ownership into his classroom. As a student council advisor, he does not have a student council agenda, but he is about inspiring kids to be a voice of change. If you could give us another round of applause for our Owatonna Teacher of the Year. Thank you very much.
Mr. Langley, thank you very much. And Mr. McCartney, if you would, have just one more second for us. We also came to understand that Wednesday night that there is a bit of a changing of some leadership within OEA. Talk us through that.
Yeah, so it's been a handful of years when my good friend Todd Andricks and I have been in leadership with the OEA. 14 years together as vice president and president. Todd actually took over the year before with president, so he's been there for quite a while. It's been, as 22 years in our district, about 20 of my years has been serving either as vice president or membership or other pieces of that. And over the course of the last year and a half or so, Todd and I sat down and said, hey, it's time to, we've been here a long time. Let's keep this thing going with other people. And so graciously, as we decided to walk away and had elections, we had some, again, more amazing people in our district that were willing to stand up and take on that and run elections and be part of that. And we had new people brought into leadership, really top leadership as president and vice president, but as well as other places as well with our exec board. Ellen Peterson typically runs our whole banquet. She was done after this year. She's been grooming an AJ Franco as well as a whole team of people. So it's pretty exciting to see what's to come next with new blood and really a mixture of new and old coming back in and stepping up to continue that process. So,
Want to make some introductions?
yes, I would love to introduce to the board some of the people that you'll be working with. Vice President, they'll take my spot, Eric Opegard. And then our new OEA President, Gail Trotz. Again, board, thank you for this time and recognizing these amazing teachers here.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I'd like to publicly thank and recognize Mr. Andricks and Mr. McCartney for their leadership and service to the teachers and our district and community in general. It's not easy taking on a leadership role like that, and I appreciate the work that they have done and continue to do to foster a great relationship between the district and teachers and certainly our other staff in the district as well. So thank you.
To all of you, the teachers that came tonight, and I very much appreciate that. Having been to your banquet and the very abrupt ending to how things concluded, I really wanted the opportunity for all of you to have this chance tonight. So thank you so much for coming tonight. We will move on. In fact, we'll pause for just a second. I know you probably all want to stick around and hear hear out the rest of the meeting. That as they are making their way out, Mr. Elstad, do you have anything else for administrative report?
I do not this
Okay.
evening, thank you.
We're going to move on to the consent agenda. Quick reminder here, we are going to approve the minutes from April 25th and May 9th, the disbursement and the personnel reports. We'll entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Eric, it's a roll call vote.
Yep. Deborah,
Aye.
Nikki,
Aye.
Lori,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Jolene,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
and I myself is an aye. 7-0 pass.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. We will move on to item 9, which would be board action requested, the first of which would be policy revisions. We had an opportunity at our last meeting to go through those policies. We'll entertain a motion to approve at this time.
I move to approve the policies as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion with regard to those policy changes? Hearing none. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item B, which would be the ratification of the 2021 through 2023 tentative agreement with the Local 147. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Elstad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the board, tonight I've asked Chris Pika to be present. If you have any questions regarding the tentative agreement we've reached with our secretarial and clerical employees in the district.
Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move that the board approve the 2021-2023 agreement with Local 147 AFSCME, FLCIO, secretarial clerical employees, and authorize the chair and clerk to execute the agreement on behalf of the school board.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item C tonight would be the 2021-2022 school calendar. Mr. Elstad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the board, tonight you are taking final approval of this year's school calendar, our current year. This is something we do in the May meeting every year to recognize that we did have some slight changes due to weather or inclement weather days. Citing those as Friday, December 10th and Friday, January 14th were the two weather-related school closures this year. The rest of the calendar was approved previously, but I'm seeking your approval tonight for this final calendar of the 21-22 school year.
Any questions?
I have one. So just curious, with graduation listed as June 3rd, heaven forbid something actually happened with the weather and it get changed, but would we have to revisit this and reapprove it if there were a change?
Let me see if I captured your question right. So Friday, if the Friday, June 3rd,
Yep.
if there was weather there, it would still, it's a school not in session day, it's a staff professional day,
Okay.
day for them. And so if graduation is, are you asking for students if it's rained out?
Yes.
The ceremony then moves to Sunday afternoon.
Yep, well, it'd have to be reflected in the calendar, and would we have to?
It will
reapprove
not have to because it's outside of the normal school day.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Sorry if I misunderstood your
Nope,
question.
you're fine.
Any other questions? One of you be kind enough to introduce this motion?
I move that the board approves the final 2021 through 2022 school calendar.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor with an aye? Any opposed? That motion carries. Item D tonight is 2022-2023 school calendar. Mr. Elstad.
Yeah, so members of the board, you've previously approved this 22-23 calendar, which is our next school year. The administration is proposing one small change, and it really only impacts our grades 9 through 12 students. As the calendar ends next year, the last day of school previously was set for Friday, June 2nd. It's also the same night as we would have graduation. There are some difficulties and some real logistic problems with having a full day of school and then trying to do graduation ceremony that night, mostly because we need staff to help facilitate graduation. This is our first sort of issue we've run into with going back to a Friday night graduation ceremony. So what I'm asking for you to consider approving tonight is that you would reapprove the 22-23 calendar, noting that the last day for our students in grades 9 through 12 would be Thursday, June 1st, And then Friday, June 2nd would be a no school day for grades 9 through 12. Staff will still be here on that Friday, June 2nd, but they'll be assisting with graduation preparation.
Any questions? Nikki?
So I know typically in the past, seniors have gotten out a day before the rest of 9 through 12. Do you see any issues with that? And also, don't you normally have rehearsal the day before graduation? And have you figured
We
that
do.
into-
We're trying to move toward a rehearsal the day of, so we can have the rehearsal the morning of and then that evening. What we've run into in the past, and I know we've kind of stumbled over this a few years, is that we'll have students that come to rehearsal, get sick, and then all of a sudden, so when it's spread apart by days, and sometimes we have 2 or 3 days in between them. And so this actually makes it where there's a rehearsal in the morning, the ceremony's at night, so it's all a little better organized, if you will. So that would be the only thing. And then as far as the seniors' last day, I don't have that on this calendar, I don't think, but it would be assumed that the seniors' last day would be probably Tuesday, May 30th, or Wednesday, May 31st. And typically, Mr. Kath goes through that with seniors at the beginning of second semester when they start to formalize that
Okay,
and their schedule.
thank you.
Any other questions? Eric, would you introduce this motion?
I move that the board approve the revised 2022-2023 school calendar as presented, making June 1st the last day of school for grades 9 through 12.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item E would be the health insurance renewal. Mr. Elstad.
Yes, this is an item that we have to do annually, and so I've asked Amanda Hellman, our Director of Finance and Operations, to be present tonight to answer questions. And perhaps, Amanda, if you could come to the podium and just give a little response if needed in regard to our health insurance renewal and entertain questions from the board. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So a little over a couple weeks ago, we met with our insurance committee, district-wide representatives for each employee group of the district with our agents of record, National Insurance Services, who did the calculation that's provided in the packet for you guys to kind of forecast what our revenue needs are moving forward for our insurance plan. And they are recommending a 6% increase for next year. Right now, trend is setting about 7.5. So we are fortunate that we did go self-insured because we've been able to manage through that a little bit better than some of the other cooperative groups and things like that. So they are recommending 6% as our increase for next year.
Question. Amanda, can you remind me, were we flat last year? In other words, we didn't take an increase, did we? Or
5%.
Oh,
Yep.
we did?
Yep.
But still, given
Still,
sort of the
still
private
under trend at
market.
that point.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, and we were able to weather the storm a little bit because we had about 10 large claims that came in that were over our stop loss insurance of about $150,000. And if we would have been part of a cooperative group, that would have looked quite different. And National Insurance has said that we probably would have looked at a double-digit increase. So we are fortunate to have the self-insurance pool to be able to help manage those claims a little bit better.
Any other questions? One of you be kind enough to introduce this motion?
I move that the board accept the self-insured health insurance renewal with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item F is exciting. Mr. Elstad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. As we honored Daniela tonight for her great accomplishments and service to the board, it is my honor tonight to introduce you to the new student school board representatives that will be seated in June. As part of our vision for adding student perspective to board meetings, when we brought Daniela on board, the vision was to have a cohort join her, and then we ran into COVID, and that was not possible for us. But we are able to realize that vision now of naming one sophomore to be junior and one junior to be senior. So I'm going to introduce them one at a time. And so our first representative, Haley, if you would stand please, is Haley Chairston. Haley is a current junior to be senior at Owatonna High School. We'll learn a lot more about Haley as we move forward, but I do know she's part of our speech and debate team. Haley is going to be serving a one-term year during her senior year of next year. So thank you, Haley, for being here, and thank you for choosing to be part of the board. And then the second person I would like to lift up is Jace Forsell. Jace Forsell is a current sophomore at Owatonna High School, and he will be a junior, obviously, next year. Jace will be serving a 2-year term. And so during his junior and senior year, and as we would go forward then, we'll add a new to-be junior every year to join the to-be seniors, so we'll constantly have folks that have some experience on the board. I want to publicly thank Haley and Jace for taking this step forward, and I think we should give them a round of applause.
Thank you. Any questions? One of you be kind enough to introduce this motion for us?
I move that Jace Forsell and Haley Cherston be appointed as student board representatives as described, with Jace serving a 2-year term and Haley serving a 1-year term.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Haley and Jace, welcome. Glad to have you a part of this. Last item, gifts to the district. Mr. Elstad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Tonight we have another good list of gifts to the district. Tonight I think we're close to the $1,200 range of gifts for a varying number of activity gifts, everything from the track club to scholarships for a 3rd grade field trip from McKinley, Walmart gift cards, you name it. We reach out to the community, and the community continues to support our students in their activities. So I lift these up for your consideration of approval tonight.
Questions? One more motion, please.
I move that the board approve the resolution for acceptance of gifts as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Eric, if you would, please.
Deborah,
Yay.
Nikki,
Yay.
Lori,
Aye.
Timmy,
Aye.
Jolene,
Aye.
Mark,
Aye.
Eric. I'm an aye. 7-0 pass.
Forgot you were calling upon
Yeah.
yourself. Motion carries. Great meeting tonight, folks. Thank you all very much. I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor with an aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.